Oh, guys and girls, we are here to talk about the bottom of the market. How to identify the bottom of the market, when to identify the bottom of the market, and the benefits of the bottom of the market. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, episode 1680. The bell at the bottom of the market. How to identify the bottom of the market. That's what everyone's dream is, to buy at the bottom, sell at the top. But how do you actually know? This morning, Mark and I are going to talk about some key identifiers. Some key identifiers so you know where the bottom of the market is, if you can tell. Is there a secret, Mark? Good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
As you can, if anyone watches our series, as we know, thousands of you out there,
Millions.
there's normally a bit of a height discrepancy, but there was a beautiful box that I thought I could stand on and even it out.
Nice box, Burge.
Thanks. I got a great box.
Good box. You know what? I think when you want to know the bottom of the market, you want to go to the professionals in the market and say, hey, when is it?
Morning, everyone. Yep. That's the bottom of the market. Ding, ding, ding.
That's it, right there.
We're here.
But you want to, it's like a doctor, right? You want to go to the doctor for advice and say, hey, what do you know? What do you think? And I think as professionals in real estate, to collectively between us over 50 years in real estate, it's like, hey, Michael, Mark, when is that bottom of the market? Are we there yet? Which is really interesting. It's been, and I'm not going to lie, it's been a really, really turbulent couple of years.
Yeah.
Michael, you do a lot exclusively in commercial. The office does a lot in property management. The office does a lot in project sales,
Yeah.
you as well, and in residential sales. So collectively, as two professionals in the Northern Beaches market of Sydney, it's like, okay, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? What do you think?
Well, I'll say in commercial property, it is very tough to know when that bottom of the market is. And I remember sort of the last cycle that we had. So, as an example, let's say early 2021, there was a bit of a boom. Like residential definitely had the boom, but in industrial, we had a bit of a boom as well. And then we went on a period where there wasn't really a transaction for nearly a year, and then we started to see
And yeah,
properties.
Brookvale as a whole suburb
Yeah.
almost had no transaction for a year.
Of the freestanding industrial properties
big
that
ones.
we're looking at. And then the next sales finally started happening, and we were at $5,000 a meter, and it dropped to like $3,000 a meter. And it's like, wow, it was like the market had turned, and it was so hard to know. Like I could distinctly see the last property that sold at the higher rate, and then there's a massive gap, and then now we're at this new market. So buyers out there, or even sellers, like it's so hard for industrial property to sort of know where that bottom is. But in residential, because there's so many transactions, you can really start to see the trends and the movement. The other thing back with commercial, because it could be 3 months or 6 months in a good market that there may not be a transaction, you sort of think, okay, it's just a little bit slower. You don't know the market's turned because it's very long between changes. But residential, you can distinctly see if the listings are selling in 14 days to 21 days. Massive change. You can start to see from the guide price initially to the sale price, is it above it or is it lower? And you can start to see that very, very quickly to know where you're at. So right now, I think we could say we're probably at that bottom. And this is the other thing. You're at the bottom of the market for your year or cycle. There's micro markets within macro markets. So are we at the bottom? It's like, well, from 10 years ago, the pricing still tripled. It's like very high bottom. But when you're looking at, let's say, a buyer's cycle, each buyer may be looking for 3 to buy on over a 3 to 6 month period. So anyone looking to buy now who was looking 3 months ago, we are lower than you've ever seen it. Now's the time to buy. So, and that would just be the days on market and price guide adjustments. But that can be hard for a buyer to see. It's good to see an agent who's living on live examples can be like, okay, this unit I would have priced at 800 grand 6 months ago. I'm pricing it at 750. And 6 months ago, if I quoted 750, I would have sold for 800. Now I'm quoting 750. I'm selling for 760. So you get that really interactive conversation with a local expert.
Absolutely. But is it a scary, when you hear bottom of the market in the stock market, people shit the bed. When you hear bottom of the market in different markets across the world, it's very, very different. It's sometimes triggering violent, awful, a lot of people down and out. The property market, bottom of the market, is not as torrential as the stock market or not as volatile because it's such a long-term market, because people are getting in and spending 40 grand on stamp duty, having to sell at 2%, having to pay tax if they sell on capital gains tax for investors, for instance. People aren't as transient or in or out. Even the leveraging allowed on property, they let you leverage up to 80%. So that's the banks, big four banks or the Australian government saying, this is what we see as acceptable turbulence. We will lend up to 80%. So when I see banks take that position, when I see governments take that position of a loan value ratio of 80%, that tells me that's how much turbulence they will accept in the marketplace, 10 or 15% at a max.
And I think people need to look at the bigger picture. Rightfully or wrongfully so, Australian culture and society has all been wealth creation through property.
Oof, big time, $10 trillion.
$10 trillion. And until that changes, and you'll know that change because the government will make big changes. Now, until that, then there's just little changes up and downs in a cycle. So you right now, instead of people being, oh, it's bad, the market's going to crash, it should be like the attitude, great. When sentiment's bad, there's less buyers buying. The overall sentiment to property and wealth creation in Australia is through property. I better buy it now with less competition because over the next 20 years, it's going to be worth more. And that's what people mix up, like where you go to other countries, say America, where a lot of their wealth creation is through creating a business. They've got softer bankruptcy laws because they want you to chop and start and give it a go. We're different. Our wealth is through property. So people think the market's going to crash and be worth, like it could go down half. It will never happen. Where there's
It has never
happened. The government would never let it happen.
Not in 100 years.
And it was proved during the first month of COVID, where the RBA actually thought about stopping property transactions in the fear that the market would go down. The government won't let it get too much. 10% down, 20% down, then it goes up 10, 20%. Like they're just cycles. But the end result is property wealth creation. So now
I love Harry Triguboff's quote. And Harry Triguboff, the biggest developer in Australia, said, I've got the best partners ever. And they go, partners? He goes, I've got the best partners. He's been building, he's 88 or whatever, and he's been building forever. And they said, partners? He said, yes. He said, the big four banks and the Australian government, they're my partners.
Yeah.
They are your partners.
Yes.
Like it or not, if you're a property owner or going to be a property owner, they have vested interest in you not going bad. Those big four banks and that government. So they, supporting what you've just said, they'll always be there.
Yeah.
And throwing incentives if it does go bad. In the last 100 years, we've had wars, we've had recessions, we've had depressions, we've had GFC1, we've had GFT, we've had COVID, we had the introduction of GST. There's been a lot of turbulence. And guys and girls, there's turbulence now. And my message to you is this is the bottom of the market. My message to you is, do you want to buy at the top of the market or do you want to buy at the bottom of the market? And let me tell you what the bottom of the market looks like. It's hard to borrow money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of excuses and there's a lot of delay.
Yeah.
delay. Now, if those things have resonated, what I've just said to you now, that's synonymous with the bottom of the market. Here we are.
And if you're,
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
and if you're one of the lucky ones who can get financing and know what you want to purchase, it's the best time because you're a lot less competition. And the reality is, anyone who looks back going, I should have bought that property 20 years ago, they never say, I should have bought that property in June 20 years ago because it was cheaper in June compared to April. The market eventually goes up so much over such a long period of time because it's government backed, it's wealth creation backed by our Australian system. Rightfully, wrongfully so, people may want it to be entrepreneurship. Ours is through property. So it's going to continue to go up, and that's where you've got to get on the bandwagon and just purchase.
It's bruised, it's battered, the economy, property, excuses, wars, petrol, all of that stuff going on. This is the bottom of the market, boys and girls. And you buy and you hold for 10 years and you'll double. I'm going to put a graph on my Instagram and Novak Properties Instagram to show you the true, real data, the last 40 years of strata and houses in Northern Beaches, and you'll see exactly the patterns that we're talking about. In that period, we've had plenty of wars.
Yeah.
In that period, we've had plenty of shit going on, like the shit we've got going on at the moment.
The property's still going up.
Stupid governments, whatever.
Beautiful.
Love ya.
Thank you.
Bye.